What if the way you've been telling your life story reveals the secret to what is holding you back? Stories play an integral part in how we see not only ourselves, but the whole world. Stories are more than just an important part of communication. They also reveal hidden aspects of our inner talk, which can either support us or end up holding us back from the very things we want most in life, without us even realizing it. Join author, mindset coach, and award-winning singer-songwriter Carrie Rowan on her show, Look for the Good, every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. when she shares nuggets of wisdom from her internationally best-selling book, Tell a New Story, 5 Simple Steps to Release Your Negative Stories and Bring Joy to Your Life. Carrie's powerful stories and compelling guests will empower you to change how you look at your own life while giving you some powerful tools and tips you can use every day to help you feel better and move yourself closer to the life you've been longing to live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Look for the Good. I'm so excited to be here with you today. I'm your host, Carrie Rowan, mindset strategist and coach, and I love sharing nuggets of wisdom about the stories we tell each other, and more importantly, those quiet little stories that we tell ourselves. And join me and my special guests as we share our personal stories of strength and triumph every week here on Dreamvisions7 Radio Network. You can listen online on your mobile device, in your car, or ask Alexa to play Dreamvisions7 Radio. And tune in every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. to get real stories and tips on how to turn your story and your life around and evolve with us as we unite humankind with universal love. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition. I'm here with Nina. Nina, hello in the wings.
Hi there. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on today. And as you know, everybody, all my beautiful listeners, we love talking about stories here. And my favorite stories are those ones, the ones that we feel that we don't want to share or we're embarrassed to share or they have some shame around them. Because when we can share those stories and get them out into the light, all that just dissolves and we can see the strength and the beauty in our own stories. Sometimes when you're in the middle of that story though, right, it's really hard to see what's coming, to see the end. And that's where our mindset can step in and we can start to plan, how do we want to end this story, the story of our life? And as I always end the show and I tell people, it's never too late to live your best story. Why is that? Because you can always create a new ending because life is unfolding in the moment. And when you can find really the strategy that works for you to get into that moment and remember that present moment. And I can't wait because Nina's going to share how she does that. And it's just in the most beautiful way. Then you can step into the future because only when you can own your now can you really see where your future is headed. So thank you, everybody. And Nina, I'm super excited. Dun, 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 dun. I thought I was going to have you dance on in. But let me read. Let me read her bio because she's just amazing. And Nina Perez is a connection coach. She helps people understand the body language of connection so they can tap into their natural, charismatic self, walk into a room and be noticed, and have connected conversations that make them unforgettable. I love that. All this so they can create deep, meaningful connections that lead to increased impact, influence, presence, and more sales, collaborations, and opportunities to have the confident life of your dreams. Don't you love that, everybody? Welcome. Welcome again, Nina. I'm super excited because as you and I spoke before, I absolutely love the work that you're doing.
Yes, and it's such an important thing to do, to get in touch with our bodies and also use beautiful things like dance and music and movement and understanding, even mindset, to move us in the direction that we want to go. And whenever we get blocked or whenever we don't feel that confidence, I talk about it in my course, Confidence. You want to get into your body and actually let the movement help you move forward. Sometimes the issues are in the tissues. And so when we move, we let things move inside of us and the energy moves, our thoughts move. Yeah.
I love that.
So
The
important.
issues are in our tissues. How does that happen? Like, why do they get lodged in our tissues? People might ask.
I think it's that we need to process things, and when we don't process them, then they get stuck sometimes in our heart, sometimes in our mind. We have these loop of negative thoughts that keep on happening, and then we get into this habitual rut or a pattern
Yeah.
of some sort. And then also in our bodies, sometimes when we have some kind of trigger or something that happened that impacts us, our nervous system, it
Hmm.
leaves a little bit of an imprint. It's kind of like it leaves a shadow on ourselves, and it stays in our body until we can shine the light to it, or until we can move that energy through and process it, you know.
I love
And
that. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. And you found dance as a young girl. Tell us that story and why was dancing so important? How did it become your mode of transformation?
yeah, so I was very, very shy growing up, and I'm from a Latin background. And so dance is another way of babysitting in our countries. I'm from Argentina. And so parents
Really?
put you in dance all the time. But I was really, really shy. And the dance, I started with ballet and flamenco. It helped me learn about myself. It helped me get out of my shell a little bit. It helped me to learn different ways of being, because I could be a leader, a follower. I could be somebody from Venezuela, somebody from Mexico. Like I could be different. We could do different folklore dances. I could portray different emotions. There was like sadness in the Swan Lake, or happiness in one of the moments, or the showpieces,
Hmm.
right? And so I could play with different emotions, and so it gave me this beautiful inner life of understanding that dance can go in all places. And it still took me a while to get out of my shell in the regular life, but in the dance floor, on the dance floor, I was able to just explore different ways of being, and understand that my feelings are powerful, and that others can feel my feelings through the movement. So others can
Mm.
feel the energy that I was thinking about and feeling myself when I was moving. And that is still true to this day. And everywhere we go, people can feel your vibe. People
Yeah.
can, when you walk into the room, they will have an impression of you that is sometimes not even cognitive, that is something they feel, or an intuition, or an energy that they're like, oh. And sometimes we're not aware of the energies and the signals that we're sending through our
Hmm.
body language or through our thoughts that people are picking up on. And then this is where we are disconnected sometimes from ourselves and with others, or where we don't get the results, or where we're like, why is this happening to me? Why am I attracting these type of people, these opportunities, or why am I not attracting these
Mm.
opportunities? And sometimes it's unconscious. We are repelling people without really knowing. And becoming body self-aware is the first step, and then becoming aware of your energy and your thoughts. They will help to translate that into how you want to live, and how you want to
Mm.
show up, and how you want to be seen.
I love that. And dance, like music, as a musician, I can appreciate that, is such a full on expression of who we are. Physical, but like you said, it's super emotional too. And it's a release, right? It's a letting go. It's a forgetting about everything else. It's really, like you said, it can transport you who you feel like you are in that moment. Or maybe you live in this other country, you can take on these personas, and then add a costume to that. And it really becomes a full expression of who you are, who you wanna be, who you were, and who you dream to be, right?
Totally. And I always say this in my classes. It's like you can put a hat on and you feel different. And it's the same with an emotion, or a feeling, or an identity, or a alter ego, or
Mhm.
anything like that we call, or an archetype. I could put that on like a hat, and be like, okay, right now I'm going to be playful. And then you can show that in your movement, in your dance. And then and in dance classes or in the courses, we always practice these things. Like, you want to practice them so that when you want to portray that in a different situation, maybe on a date, or maybe in the boardroom, you want to put on the hat of confident leader, you can, because you've practiced it in places
Mm.
that are more safe.
Mhm.
But then it does actually impact you to put that on like a hat, to
Yeah, to
to
try it on.
to try it on. And then how does that person that you're trying on, that identity, that archetype, how do they think? What would they do right
Mm.
now? And I like to create a habitual lifestyle, I call it, or high connection habits, habitual habits around this.
Mhm.
Because once you start doing this over as and over in your practice as an experiment, but then it slowly starts becoming a habit, over time it becomes you. And now you being more sensual or you being more playful, it's not so foreign, it's not so out of your comfort zone if you actually take little steps to put on the hat for an hour, to do this
Hmm.
for a little bit. And then you can go back to your comfort zone. You can go back to what you're used to, and you can go back to the ways that you have been. But this is how we create change that is efficient if you make it a habit, and over time it feels natural to you. And
Yeah, I
that's
love that.
powerful.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I love that, putting it on like a hat. That's a really cool analogy. Just you're trying it on. How does it feel? How would somebody who was a confident, charismatic leader act, right? And I think what you said about practice is so important. As a musician, anything that you want to do, you have to practice. But we don't think about that when it comes to changing our lives, right? We think about, oh, you'd have to practice an instrument if you wanted to learn that, or you have to practice some dance moves. But I love how you take that and really make that analogous to life. Like if you want anything new in your life, it has to be a practice, right?
Totally,
I love
totally.
that.
And why I incorporate dance is because we totally understand that we need to practice the steps to get better. And
Hmm.
it's a physical, visceral thing and it's concrete. But we treat our lives and our destinies as sometimes we just go by chance or randomly or we sporadically do things. And
Hmm.
I had a conversation yesterday with a beautiful lady about this. It's like, oh, people are sometimes successful in many areas, but there's that one area, and that area that they're not successful in is because they do not have a vision or they're not treating it with the same care and seriousness that they treated in other areas. So sometimes we're really great at our work, but we're not working on ourselves and our self-care or our the way we feel in our bodies, being confident in our bodies. And
Hmm.
we can do this in the boardroom but not in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Why? Right? But it's you still moving around everywhere. You have the power. But sometimes there's certain areas that do kind of get us a little bit scared
Hmm.
or make us want to contract. And
Yeah.
it's all inside of us. We just need to focus our energy. And then we need to create these practicing rituals with
Mm.
our bodies. If we can
Yeah.
do it with our bodies, it becomes not only your conscious mind working, but your subconscious mind, and so it becomes natural and it becomes you. That is the
Yeah.
major thing that I find, that when people work with their bodies and do whatever that they want and they're learning it through their bodies, it becomes more permanent, because just like riding a bicycle, you
Hmm.
can't forget what you have felt. You
Yes,
just
the
cannot.
kinesthetic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's the
so
missing
when you
piece.
Yeah, and so when you're learning things through the body, it's much harder to forget. And the body has its own memory as well. And so next time you try it, it's like, oh, I remember this feeling. And if you do it in a way that creates pleasure and you have a dopamine hit or oxytocin, which dance creates lots of that,
Mm.
then your body is more inclined to remind you, I like this. I want to do this again. I had a good experience. Let's do this again.
I love it. And it's so opposite of what we're trained, right? We're so trained to like make the list of pros and cons and figure it out, right? So we get so many people get stuck in their head. They get stuck in the overthinking and those same repeating stories and thoughts over and over, like you said before, and that negative train of thoughts, right? That becomes the habit, that becomes the pattern. And when you can interrupt that with something physical, I tell people all the time, one of the best ways to change your mind is to get up and out of your seat, get out of your office, go for a walk, jump on your mini trampoline, whatever does it for you, do some tapping on your body, but incorporate it into your body. That's why I love so much the work that you do. And we speak such the same language on this, right? And it's the same thing. It's like, I can think about a song all day, but to pick up my guitar and strap it on my body and feel the vibration of that through my body, just like movement, when we move our bodies, our whole energy system changes. And that's so beautiful. And then you get that full brain functioning, right? Like dance is a full brain functioning. That's why we remember it. That's why it gets in, it's kinesthetic, it gets in the body, but the mind remembers it because it likes it. It feels good. It's juicy. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I agree 100%. And what I love about dance per se, like dance specifically, because it has music and movement, it is much quicker than a lot of other things. So sometimes,
Mm,
yes, it would be great to do I mean, I'm for meditation and walking and all these things, but we may not have the time to go and do a 20, 30-minute sit down or a 20-minute, 30
yeah.
minute walk. But
Hmm.
you can take 5 minutes and the music, put a favorite song of yours, and then also start moving in ways where you're moving your hips and letting all of that fear and shame that we store in our hips start moving and letting that
Mm-hmm.
go. And then also moving our upper bodies, our shoulders, our heart, all of that center starts moving the
Mm-hmm.
energy through. And then a hack I do, instead of when you have like a lot of negative thinking,
Mm-hmm.
I ask myself questions, because questions are open-ended. And
Yeah.
so when you're not feeling so confident, let's say, but you put the song on and you start moving your hips and you say, well, how have I been confident? That's a question. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we don't have the energy to say, I am confident. I'm not really confident right now. I don't feel it. But if you say, well, how have I been confident? Now you're dancing and moving and your ideas will start flowing,
Mm.
creativity will start flowing, and you'll have an answer because your brain is meant to answer the questions. But sometimes we ask ourselves bad questions like, why am I feeling this way? That's not a
So
very
true.
empowering question, but how have I been, how am I powerful, or how am I impacting the world? And you're moving and dancing, it's going to change from the top into your heart as well and into your gut. And after you do 5 minutes of that, you will be ready to take action.
Yeah, I love that. I talk about that in my book. Good. It's like a computer, good in, good out, right? So you put a bad question in, you're going to get a bad answer because, like you said, the brain is designed to answer those questions. So why not use that to our advantage and ask a better question? Like if you were to look at this side of my desk, I have a bunch of sticky notes with questions. Like, what else could be possible here, you know? And some of these things that you can ask ourselves. I love that question that you said about when was I confident, right? Pulling on all those resources, because when you put yourself in that state of mind and you're focused and you tell that part of your brain, the reticular activating system, your RAS part, you tell it what is important to you, it starts looking, and all of a sudden now you have all these answers at your fingertips, right? For all the times that you were confident, that you did do amazing things, and I love that. The asking good questions is so easy to do too, isn't it?
Oh, totally. And the other thing that I've also noticed with people, and sometimes it happens in our work with like mindset and positivity, is that sometimes we try to bypass the actual body, but or the feelings, and we're like, okay, let's just
Mhm.
get into positivity.
Mhm.
And when that's not possible, so you've tried the 5 minute dancing questions and they're not being shifted, you
Yep.
need to actually look at your body, your body is telling you, because the body doesn't lie. And
Mhm.
if you are feeling stuck, what's going on, removing the blocks towards
Yeah.
that full expression is so, so important. And sometimes I find that people try to bypass that. And this is part of my work, is having people become body aware first,
Mm.
understanding where are the areas that you're not fully self expressing, where are the areas that you're
Yeah.
not moving. Like if I ask you, go in front of the mirror and start moving your hips and look at yourself in a loving way, so many people cannot do that. So many of my clients need help with that. And we
Mhm.
talk about, okay, well, what's coming up? What's the self-love that's missing? What is the narrative? What do you see right now? What are you telling yourself? So much can be learned from just observing your body moving and dancing and realizing, oh, this is where I'm feeling stuck, or this is where things are not flowing, and I am feeling all these negative feelings. Like the body is showing you by how it's
Mm.
constricted, or how it cannot raise their arms, or how you cannot move your hips, or how you're not feeling, sensual or happy about who you are or what you look like or whatever it is. And
Mhm.
so the body, yeah, it just it tells you so many things. And I guarantee that how you are when you're dancing is how you are when you're moving in the world. And so if you cannot express certain parts of yourself while you're dancing, you are definitely not expressing them in the world. And that is showing up. And sometimes we don't see, but everybody else can see. And this is why
Right?
body language is so important, to
Yeah.
understand what is the body language that I'm giving. Am I attracting people or repelling people? Am I being guarded and closed off, and that's what people are getting? Or
Mm.
am I actually being approachable, inviting? Am I receptive to others? Am I showing that the body language of connection, of curiosity, of love, of kindness? What am I sharing without even saying a word?
Right? I love that. That is so powerful. How you are when you're dancing is just how you are in life. And so tell me about your process. Like, do you have somebody come into your dance center and do some dancing? Tell us a little bit about your process. Like, how do you help people uncover this about themselves, and what can they do at home to help themselves do that?
It's a great question. Yes, so I work in various ways. You can definitely come to my group classes in Vancouver
Hmm.
or online, and we
Hmm.
will work on this is how you dance this dance and so on. But the 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 gem is when you work with me on a one-on-one container or on a group container where we take dancing as a tool and
Hmm.
we start looking at what the dancing is telling you, and we look at the blocks that you may have. We look at ways that you want to express. And so you have a vision, and it's like, well, where am I stuck in my vision? And then we look at moving through that with your movement, and we look at putting all of these different identities. If you have this vision, what kind of person would would accomplish that vision? Okay,
Hmm.
well then a confident person, or a very decisive person, or a person. One of my favorites with one of my clients was she wanted to be purposefully decisive. So she wanted to have decision with purpose. So just didn't want to make a decision. She wanted all
Hmm.
her decisions to match her purpose.
I
So
love
we
that.
call that decisions with purpose. And so, how would that person move in the world? And so, you use the dancing as a tool to practice moving that way
Mm.
with those ideas and those feelings in your body.
Mm.
And then you put that and you practice in front of other people. So you go in a conversation, and how does a person who does decisions with purpose walk into a room and have
Mm.
a conversation? And how do they
Hmm.
ask this question? And so a lot of my coaching starts moving people into real life situations where they're practicing conversations with other people with these ideas in the back of their mind, or these feelings in the back of their mind, and they're practicing being those in the moment.
In the moment. I love that. Don't go anywhere, everybody. I know you're hanging on her every word. We'll be right back with Nina. Stay tuned. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Look for the Good. I'm here with Nina Perez. This is such a fascinating conversation. I love just how dance is really represents how you do your whole life, and all these little tricks and tips and everything that you're giving us here are so fabulous. I'd love to hear. Well, you and I spoke earlier, and you were telling me a little bit about your single mom story. Share that story with everybody because I love just the connection that and the networking that came out of that. So share that. I'd love to hear more about that, and I know they would too.
Yes. So, well, 11 years ago, I became a single mother. I was getting out of a relationship that we felt like we have tried everything, and we were going through the breakup, and then I got pregnant, and we thought, okay, we're going to continue that our decision because we felt that was right, and we're still great friends, myself and my co-parent. And but I thought, how do I thrive as a single parent? Because all I have seen is a lot of single moms, and the stats that are out there that is like not very good, and a lot of struggle. And then of course I heard things like you can't even date and stuff. And for me, what I realized is that the most valuable the most valuable thing in life is your relationships. And it comes from really knowing how to connect with people, and not in a transactional way. So, not
Hmm.
like, oh, I'll help you and you help me, but when you really focus on making sure that all your relationships are deeper, they're deepening all the time, that you have connection with people, that you are maintaining the connection so
Hmm.
that you're regularly in touch with people, and you have that mentality of, how can I make this person's life amazing? That was my mentality. And so as I was, you know, became pregnant and I was a single mom, I just focused on myself, how to connect to myself, and then
Hmm.
how to connect with other people that I knew. And I shared my stories, my I'm pregnant and this with everybody. And I had already been building, of course, because dance taught me about connection. And so in my life before I became pregnant as a single mom, I had good relationships. And this is why I still have such a great relationship with my co-parent, because I feel like that is the most important thing. Communication and connection is so important. And so I was already establishing that. But when
Hmm.
I became a single mom, I realized I'm not going to be able to, work full time. I'm not going to be able to do this and that. I actually need a network of people around me. And so I started looking for where would be great containers for moms. Like, I want to
Hmm.
have art in my life. I want to have a counselor. I want to have this. And I reached out to people and I shared my story. Everywhere I could, I'd be like, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a place where I can have child minding and this. And sometimes I find that people are shy to ask for help but others love to help. And of
Hmm.
course, you're going to be reciprocating, right? Like, I'm not saying take without giving, you need to give. But the more you share your story, the more you say to people, this is what I'm looking for. What can I help you with? And so on. And you start having that feeling of, everything is connected. We're all connected and here, and we can help each other. Things, flourished for me. And so I was not shy about, this is what I'm looking for and this is what I need, and sharing the areas. And so a lot of even my students would come and help me babysit. I would bring Gavin to my dance classes, and then they would babysit, and people would say, how many babysitters do you have? And I was like, I think 30. and
I
and it
love
was
that.
amazing. And everybody loved, wanting to help. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That is
And
fantastic.
yeah, and so I think that investing in your relationships and expanding your network and going out and putting yourself in places where you can help others and others can help is so, so important. And that's why I talk about the dance of connection.
Mm.
It's a dance going out into the world and meeting people, meeting strangers, and converting those strangers into friendships or deep relationships. There's an art to how you need to share yourself, and also an art to bringing people out of their shells. And it's all
Mm.
about asking great, what I call charismatic questions, or having charismatic conversations. When you can do that, then people want to talk to you and open up. But it starts with you being able to connect to yourself and knowing, what parts of me do I want to share that will create common ground, that will be interesting to people, so that they want more.
Mm, I love that. That's quite beautiful. I love how you had all those babysitters. Like that was brilliant, really, to get that community and build that around you. Um, and that's a really powerful thing because, they say that it takes a village, and it really does when it comes to our kids, right? Um, but at the same time, you were building up yourself, your own self-esteem, right? You were building yourself back. You were getting back in touch with that confidence. And then as you saw what you put out into the universe, you were so intentional and put that out and said that to people around you, and it came true for you. And that in and of itself is really powerful. I don't think most people understand just how to do the art of manifestation, which is exactly what you just explained. So that is super, super powerful. It's like you danced your way there.
Yeah, and then having that feeling of thriving, which is what I feel like is missing in so many people's lives. Like,
Hmm.
I I talk about dance today, that's my company, but then I also talk about thriving today,
Yeah.
because it's so important not just to survive, to get out of survival mode, and it is a mindset shift. And I feel like
Hmm.
the more that you're connected to yourself, your vision, and what you want, and then creating habits that will get you there, the more that you can have thriving as your lifestyle. And
Mm.
a lot of these skills, I learned them when I started teaching dance. I i was very young, so I started dance at 2, and I was doing ballet and flamenco, and then I
Wow.
started salsa and tango in my teens. And at 19, I was like ready to teach, and I felt, well, I didn't feel confident at the time, but my teacher was like, you're ready to teach, you're practicing all the time, can you help this lady, can you help this class, can you help this woman? And so I started, slowly helping, and feeling like, oh, I know what I'm doing, so I can definitely
Hmm.
explain it. But
Hmm.
teaching at such a young age made me feel that unconfident or shy self again. And I
Mm.
really had to learn the skill of commanding the room, like having presence, being in
Yeah.
your body in a way that commands people to listen to you. And sometimes I
Yeah.
love doing this. I have 150 kids in a high school. Sometimes they call me in to teach, and I will teach a little bit, and then I'll have a moment of silence, and I'm looking at everybody, and they feel like, oh, what is she going to say next? And it creates this, like, a little bit of social tension. And the more you can hold social tension and have some eye contact and have some intrigue, people start listening. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, what's going to happen next? It's this like pregnant pause, right? And then
Yeah.
I'll say something, and I have 150 teenagers all quietly ready for my next word.
That's amazing.
And
That
that's
is amazing.
because you are fully in your body. And I
Yeah.
feel nowadays that is like a lost art. We are
Ugh.
so into our phones, so into what's happening out there, so sometimes worried in our heads about what's going on, what people are thinking. But if we can get into the present moment, get into our bodies, and actually choose, who do you want to be? How do you want
Yeah.
to feel? What are you going to do? These are three questions that I just always go in that order. Who do I want to be? How do I want to feel? And what am I going to do?
I
And
love
from
that.
that space,
I love
then
that.
you get in the moment and people notice. People pick up on, oh, this person is grounded. This person is here. And this person has a lot to give, because we all do. When we get present, we are full of things to offer, of gifts or of inspiration, of so much. But so
Hmm.
much of the time we are like hiding behind things or worrying, or
Yeah.
fears and blocks, and things are in our way to be fully self-expressed. But if you can get in your body, that's step one.
I
And once
love
you
that.
can learn how to share yourself, ask
Mm.
great questions, charismatic questions, and then learn how to share yourself, how you answer these questions, then so much can happen. You know, I have one of my mentors, he would say, conversations create worlds, David Cooper Ryder. And I fully believe that. And it creates
Mm.
opportunities and it creates so much. In the dance, we say 1 + 1 = 3, which is your axis, his axis, together, your togetherness
Hmm.
creates a third entity. And I believe
Mm.
that in any interaction, if you're out there and you know how to connect with people, 1 + 1 = 3.
That's so powerful. I love 1 + 1 = 3. I love everything you just said. And I love the piece about bringing ourselves back into our bodies because that is, like you said, a lost art. People are so distracted because that's where our world is. We're so externally focused and everybody's vying for our attention, right? Social media, the phone, the TV, the news, politics, blah, 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 blah. And so it all wants our attention, and our attention spans are so small. And so putting those darn phones away, which is what I love my kids to do, and doing something physical. I mean, when we were kids, we were told to go outside and play, and that's what we did. I knew my backyard better than, like my kids know their phone. I knew my backyard, how to get around it. Right. And so we need to go back to that. You also said something that was super important is it's a choice. I love how you said, how do I want to feel? Most people don't realize it's a choice. It's a choice to sit there and scroll on your phone or to drop that thing and go for a walk outside and look at how beautiful the world is around you. That's a choice. And I love that because it can bring you right back into who we really are. And who we really are is present beings that love to connect. It's in our DNA. We can't help that. And so when we nurture that and find more ways to do that, like through dancing, our lives get so much more enriched in so many ways that it's really hard for us to sit here and describe all the ways that your life will be better because of that, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Yeah. And sometimes we just don't have places to explore and containers to do this safely, because let's say you're a person who, has been very introverted, or the pandemic made you be out of practice in connecting with people. Well, you're not going to go out there and do that right now. You need to actually get into your body and do it in a safe place. And so through my programs and so on, we create these spaces where you can explore ways that you would maybe be like, oh, that's too much out of my comfort zone. Like, I'm not silly, or I'm not sexy, or I'm not playful, or I'm not a leader, or whatever it is. Maybe you don't see yourself there, but you have these containers that we practice. Well, let's do this next step in this way. Let's move in this way. And then we translate that into, this is the body language. So this is the shoulders and the body language that you actually also want to do when you go for a walk. And sometimes I
Mm.
send my clients for challenges during their homework to go for a walk in this way. And it really does create such an impact to be able to practice in a safe place where you can be, not doing it perfectly, and then to take a challenge and try in a really small baby dance step, I say, out of your comfort zone. You're still not having to do it in front of people, just by yourself out in the world. But
Hmm.
slowly, as you create these experiments and
Yeah.
challenges and you practice, then when the opportunity arises that there's somebody that you'd like to connect to, and that could be romantically or in business, because we get intimidated sometimes speaking with people who are our mentors or our people that we aspire to become or like or are inspired by, but they're just people. So if you can embody and slowly move your way through that transformation when they are in front of you, you will have the courage because you've been practicing. And
Mm.
so courage comes from consistent practice, right?
Mm.
And consistent practice will create the courage and the confidence that you need to go and be yourself in front of that person.
I love that. Courage comes from consistent practice. Most people don't think that. I mean, I'm thinking about the Cowardly Lion, right? And in The Wizard of Oz, and I'm thinking like he thought he could get that. He just needs it. I just need somebody to give it to me. But I love the thought that it's already in there. We're just finding a way to get ourselves to feel safe so it can come out and to practice being courageous. That's a really, really beautiful thing. I don't think most people think that way about courage.
No, I think people think that you have to like get the courage. And if you have even the courage one time, like, oh, that was great. But a lot of times, if you have the courage and you go too far out of your comfort zone, you will have a negative kind of slingshot back into your comfort zone because that was not something that was gradually built. It's not in a
Mm,
strong foundation. So the more that
yeah.
you actually practice it in small ways daily, like that's why we have a process and a framework so that you can practice daily in small ways,
Mm,
then you do have this feeling of the comfort zone slowly increases and you won't have those like negative backlashes because you stretched too far. Or when we work out too much or like I'm going to run a mile and you haven't run in weeks and then it's like, oh, I'm not going to run for
you're
like
so
3 weeks.
sore.
Now you stop, you're so sore, right? But if
Exactly.
you did a little bit every day
Yeah.
and then that became your part of your identity of who you are, you're a runner that
Mm,
practices every day this much and slowly you increase it, then it's not so far-fetched to go and do a mile and you actually can enjoy the process of it and not have these feelings of like so out of your comfort zone that you have to shrink in and then
hmm.
rebuild that courage again, and it's like a spurt of energy. You actually want it to be something that is gradually growing and that
Mm.
you are not faking it, but you're feeling it.
Yeah, I love that. Not faking it, but feeling it. Okay, don't go anywhere, everybody. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Look for the Good. I'm here with Nina. I love this conversation. Um, it's just so you came alive. I was just saying to you before when you were explaining about present. I call PMA present moment awareness. You just came alive about how to really be and embrace yourself. And I really think that's a fabulous way because I think what happens, especially to women, is over time we forget who we are. We forget what we love. We forget what we used to be passionate about. We're so busy taking care of everybody else and providing for, and we really do. We put that self-care on the back burner, and we forget who we are and what we love. And a lot of times I'll tell clients that first come on with me to make this big list. I want you to write out all the things you love, not what everybody else loves, what you love. And it's hard. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about embracing what we love and who we are and how self-care and all of that really, really comes back around full circle in what you're teaching people to practice.
Oh, totally. I mean, a lot of people are so focused on other people. And I talk about relationship care, but the first relationship you need to have an amazing connection with is yourself. Because if you don't, it's going to be really difficult to connect with others, or people will see where you're actually not being authentic and genuinely yourself. And
Hmm.
so in this world nowadays, I feel like learning how to fully express yourself, like fully be in your body and know who you are, know what your desires are, what's your vision, what you want, and what you want to share with others. It's so important because I find that, especially women, we tend to, you know, contort ourselves to what we think people want from us, or we people please. And I'm, such a guilty, guilty in all charges on all this,
We
and
all
try
are.
to compromise and try to make things work when the biggest value you can give to others is being fully who you are and sharing your gifts and your knowledge, your wisdom from your experiences that cannot come from anywhere else because your experiences are so unique. So it's so beautiful to hear about you and who you are. And so being fully ourselves has become, it seems, a little bit harder. And I think that when you can learn to get into your body and love being in your body. Love being comfortable in your own skin. Love trying different ways of being and seeing that you're all of that and you can be all of that if you choose to. And learning how do I choose to create that and how do I choose to be that way? Like practicing that, then you will have this feeling of freedom of
Mm.
being able to be who you are when you want to be that. And you all of
Yeah.
the blocks and the fears that get in the way, we can work on that. And you can have processes on how to get rid of those things or remove the blocks or shatter those illusions, and then just show up as you,
I
being in
love
your
that.
body, being who you are, what you want to share. And yeah, I find that people get stuck in like not knowing how to share themselves and what they want to share to connect with others. And
That's
again, it takes a
interesting.
little bit of practice, a little bit of
Yep.
guidance. You're
Yep.
you're not that far away. If a coach can show you what to focus on, what to point
Yeah.
out,
How to
and
close that
start
gap
the
up.
process.
Yeah, exactly. Close that gap. And I love what you said because you know when somebody's fully present and they are being 100% themselves, and we feel that authenticity. It just so they're radiating it back to us. And the cool thing about it, right? We're all just a reflection of each other, is you give other women permission to do the same. And I feel like that's the most powerful. And that's the big ripple effect that happens, right? Just like you're doing today, being fully the embodiment of who you are, and that is so powerful. And if more people did that, then more people would do that, right? And then it would just become this contagious, beautiful thing in our society.
Yeah, and sometimes we single out women, but I also see it in my men too. When I help them become better leaders by showing them how to hold a woman in the frame, or how do you stand in a way that is commanding presence, because so much of the society has said, don't do this, you got to be this way or softer or different, and the reality is we all have that internal guidance that knows right and wrong, and we know what we have to give. We just need to tap into that, and then we need to confidently share, and then have the emotional intelligence of handling whatever reaction we get from others.
Mm.
Sometimes it gets so confused. We're worried about, oh, I can't say this or I can't do that because how are they going to handle it? They're going to get hurt or whatever. All of that is like sometimes taking too much ownership of things that are not yours. And so knowing where your boundaries are,
Mhm.
which are so obvious when you learn how to dance because you feel each other's boundaries. You feel like the moment of touch and connection, that's a boundary. And it also is there present in conversations when you are out in the world. You need to be able to share with people, these are my values, these are my boundaries, these are my feelings, this is what I want, these are my desires, this is where I'm thinking of going. But some people don't have that confidence. And if you start with learning how to be in your body and in your own skin, you will start being able to speaking out those ideas, because you will have a strong feeling and sense in yourself that this is okay, this is who I am, I need to share this. And you start building it. And when it's felt in the body, there's a groundedness, and you
Mm.
feel, yes, this is right. And that courage is, you're going to feel it in your hands, you're going to feel it in your legs, you're going to feel it in your gut. And
Yeah.
sometimes we feel the opposite, right? We feel like a constriction in our gut. That's the moment we're not being ourselves. Our
Mm.
bodies don't lie, they're
The
telling us
bodies
this
don't
is what's
lie.
happening.
Yeah. And nobody else. Here's the thing. I feel like people forget about this. Nobody else is quite like you. I say this to my girls all the time. There is nobody. I'm not talking about how you look, but that's part of it, right? But your voice, the way you say things, your perspective, your eyes, the way you see things, the way you take information in, and then the way you deliver information out, the way you tell a story, the way you move. There will never, ever, ever, ever be anybody just like Nina, ever again. And so
Or
when
just
you
like
can,
Carrie.
exactly. So when we can take that and fully embrace that and shine that out to the world, that's why we came here to this planet. That is what full living is all about, because that's where true joy comes from.
And true connection, because when
True
you are
connection.
fully yourself, people can perceive it. And I
Yeah.
say this quote all the time to myself and everywhere I can, and it was from the powerhouse Maya Angelou, and she said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And
Yeah.
so when you're fully connected, people will feel you and you will be able to feel them. And then that's when magic can happen.
Ooh, I love that. That's where the juice is, right? And it's true. And it's all comes down to, like you said, grounding yourself. Give us a quick little exercise, a little tip. If somebody's in the middle of their workday and they are so frazzled, how could they quickly ground themselves in that moment if they can't break out into dance?
Perfect. So let's say you're sitting in the office and you can't break out into dance, but you can move your shoulders a little bit. I'd like you to take a deep breath and see what you see. So look around. I see a curtain. I see my ring light. I see Carrie's beautiful smile. So see what you see. Then take a deep breath. You can move your belly a little bit side to side and then feel what you feel. So you're still sitting down, moving a little bit, but what do you feel right now? You might feel the chair, you might feel the air or wind in your face, or you might feel a feeling. So you might feel maybe gratitude, or you might feel some anxiety. Feel the feeling. You might feel relaxation or relief that you're here. And then hear what you hear. So again, maybe shrug your shoulders a little bit up and down, and then move your head side to side. And what do you hear? It could be noises in the room, maybe like the air conditioning or some whatever buzzing around, or it could be a thought, maybe something in your mind. What do you hear in your mind? So for me, it's an affirmation that I'm saying. I allow life to flow through me. It could be an affirmation like I'm deeply centered, or it could be a question like, what is the next feeling I want to feel? Or what is my intention in the next moment? I call that attentionality. So where am I going to put my intention and my attention? And so just hear what you hear. See, feel, hear. Move your head, move your shoulders, move your belly. When you move your head, you're connecting to your mind. When you move your shoulders, you're connecting to your heart. And when you're moving your belly, you're connecting to your gut. And so really simply, in your chair, you can do that. Nobody's going to notice. Nobody's going to wonder what's going on. You can just get in the present moment into your body.
I love that. That really felt good. If you guys are on the radio because you can't see us, we were just doing that together. But what a great, quick little exercise to do when you're anywhere. You could be sitting on an airplane and do that, right? It's like so powerful, so simple, bringing you right back to your five senses, and really grounding you back into your body. I love that. And then I feel like you can get through anything. And while you're in the process, you don't even realize you just released whatever was stuck in your mind.
Mm-hmm. And if you did some movement with it, also you could have moved some energy there too.
Yeah, you could have dislodged an emotion that was stuck in there. I love that. I think that the shoulders, we hold so much stress up
So
here
much.
in our
Mm-hmm.
in our necks, and we wear our shoulders like our earrings. And so when we can kind of come to that realization and kind of, I love shaking the body out too, like a qigong movement where you jump up and down. I'm not going to jump up and down right now, but you would do that and you would shake it all out with your hand shaking. That's really powerful to do, to just really amp your energy up. I love
And
that.
even that quick exercise, if somebody were to watch you, I would guarantee you that they would think you're more confident in that moment. That if they knew you and then they saw you in that movement and then you were embodying that, they would say, oh, something's different there, or they can see more confidence in you. Because
Yes.
when you are in the body and when you are actually moving in a relaxed, easeful way, that's what I call confidence, right? Which is you're
Confidence.
confidence. Yeah, you're dancing
Confidence.
into your confidence.
You come dancing out of your cubicle, a whole new person.
Yeah,
I love that. I think they should incorporate some dance breaks at work. Like if you
I
have to go to a corporate office.
mm-hmm. Yes, yes. But even if you cannot dance in the world, you can walk in the world in a way that when people watch you, you know, they would be proud to see you walk by,
I
right?
love
So
that.
people would be impacted by who's that person, or their heads would turn. And that is possible. That is possible. How you walk is like a dance. And
It is like a
if you are
dance.
having issues with that or worries about that, then you want to go explore. How can I move in my body with ease? How can I enjoy my movement? And how can I enjoy how I move? You know,
I love that. I think I walk too fast. Um, so maybe for me, slowing it down a little bit to really enjoy. There's so much energy work going on when we're walking. We're crossing planes. We have this coordinated effect with our legs up and our arms going together, and we're crossing our energies back in that grid where they belong. And that feels so good. That's why it feels good to go out for a quick little 5-minute walk if that's all you have.
and you can be fully whole in that moment. Your masculine energy could be the direction where you're walking, but how you walk is your feminine energy. And you could
Yeah.
be fully in your body, receiving the energy of the sunshine or the rain or whatever it is, and enjoying those feelings. And so you're in your feminine energy, but you're also focused on where you're going, and that is in your masculine energy. So you, within the dance, we always talk about leading and following roles, but really it's about masculine, feminine energy in all of us. The dance will integrate and you will become a whole person because you are going to be learning about your whole body, and our bodies, left and right brain, we need to integrate them. We cannot only
Yeah.
be moving one side of our body, thinking from one side, and
Yes.
dance will help you do that.
That's really powerful. It's one of the few things I can, like playing a musical instrument. I tell people it's one of the few things that incorporates that whole brain functioning, just like dancing, you're moving everything. I love that. I have loved this conversation. You are so beautiful in your expressions. I just love watching you talk. And the information you're sharing is so powerful, right? And we need to be reminded about how powerful our bodies are and how we store things in our body and how to release that and to be our best and most authentic selves. This has been so beautiful, Nina. Tell them where they can find out more about you.
Yes. And well, the best is my website, ninaperez.ca, NinaPerez.ca. And there you will find everything about dancing or Thrive Today or Confidence, my courses. And I help you go into your body, understand the blocks, remove them, understand how to embody different parts of yourself, and then understand how to use that in the world, having a vision of your life that you want, how you can have conversations with others that will create that vision into reality, and have more connection in your life so that you can have a community around you as you are living your best life.
So beautiful. I feel better just having this conversation with you today, Nina. So thank you so much for coming on Look for the Good.
Oh, thank you. And I really appreciate this space. And I hope all the viewers I'll get into their bodies and enjoy themselves even more.
Absolutely. Everybody dive into your body today. And thank you so much for listening, everybody. And remember, it is never too late to live your best story. Be well.
Thanks for tuning in to Look for the Good with your host, Carrie Rowan, best-selling author and mindset coach. Join us every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. right here at Dreamvisions7 Radio Network. If you weren't able to catch an episode, no worries. Just visit our website to find all the archived episodes of Look for the Good on demand so you don't miss a thing. And remember, it's never too late to live your best story. For additional resources or to find out about how you can work with Carrie directly, visit carrierowan.com for more details.